All right, man. I just wanted to come on here and say that being lame is what gets you rich, contrary to popular belief. You know what I mean? I know a lot of us, excuse me, this joint look like it's all over the place, but I know a lot of us have this idea that there's something wrong with being considered lame, right? A lot of us have this idea that there's something wrong with being considered the lame friend, the lame family member. I need you guys to understand that what's lame to other people doesn't have to be what's lame for you. You know what I mean? And contrary to popular belief, bro, the lame person is typically the one that ends up getting rich, bro. Like, I don't know if y'all have noticed or if you guys are paying attention, but typically the one who is lame, right? Why do people call them lame? Oh, it's because they don't want to do the standard things that everyone else is doing, right? They don't want to go out. They don't want to party. They don't want to drink. They don't want to smoke. They don't want, you know what I mean? They want to do the typical boring habits that get you the furthest in the long run. You know what I mean? And as a byproduct of them, one, not wanting to do those bad habits, and two, wanting to do the good habits for a very long time, i.e. daily, people call them lame. You know what I mean? And I just want to push back on that and challenge your idea of what the word lame is, or, you know, if it's even a bad thing to begin with. Because from my perspective, from how I view the world, I think that it's much better to be different. I think it is much better to not be doing what the masses are doing, right? If the masses are going to the club day in, day out, night in, night out, every single weekend, chances are you probably don't want to go to the club, right? Because, you know what I mean? There's nothing but mediocre people there, right? If the masses are smoking, you probably don't want to be smoking. You know what I mean? To get to your goals, to get to where you want to be in life. If the masses are drinking, you probably shouldn't be drinking. I hate to break it to you. You know what I mean? Like, and as you guys can hear me go through these things that the masses like to do, it becomes more obvious and more apparent, right? Because these are the standard bad habits that everyone does. So I also want to point out that we've all heard the term the 1%, right? We have all heard the term the 1%. Why the hell do you think it's so low? Why do you think it's only 1%? Why not the 5%? Why not 25%, right? It's the 1% because only 1% of people are doing it. Only 1% of people are doing these good habits day in and day out. Only 1% of people are willing to give up these bad habits daily. You know what I mean? Like, you guys have to understand that success comes from doing what everyone else isn't doing. And well, let me reverse. Let me backpedal on that. Success comes from not doing what everyone else is doing. And then success also comes from forcing yourself to do the boring, mundane, consistent habits that you know are good for you day in and day out for a long enough period of time for the results to end up showing. You know what I mean? That is the cut out copy definition of, you know what I mean, success, or how to get successful. So here's what you guys need to do. Here's your playbook from after you watch this video, right? You need to, one, stop the bad habits, right? Stop smoking, stop drinking, stop partying, stop chasing after girls, lusting, stop watching porn, you know what I mean? Stop doing all of those bad habits, right? What you need to do is you need to go ahead and get you a girl, you know what I mean? Or just stay absolutely single. There's power in staying single. You could save even more money doing that. But if you feel like you need a companion, if it gets lonely for you sometimes, then I would suggest getting a girlfriend, bro. There's no point in you being single right now. You know what I mean? You either stay single or you get a girlfriend. You stay down, you know what I mean? You save as much money as humanly possible. You build your skills. You know what I mean? You build the skills that are going to be able to make you money in the long run, right? Whether that be you get extremely good at sales, whether that be you get extremely good at marketing, whether that be you get extremely good at some, high level skill that makes you money in the long term, right? You get you a girlfriend, you get extremely good at a skill, you get a license, you get a certification in something if you need to do that. You save as much money as possible and you stay the hell out of the way, man. You cut off all of the people that are around you that are bad influences. You cut off all of the, family members, all of the friends that are, what I'm saying, negative influences around you, the ones that are pushing you to do wrong things, the ones that are not believing in you. You know what I mean? Like, we all know, everyone in our lives, we all have one person, two, and maybe multiple that are holding us back, right? And it sucks to hear, but it's the God honest truth, right? And you know who they are in your life, you know what I mean? So don't cope, don't sit there and, try to come up with an excuse for them or anything in your head. You know who these people are. Stop, take 5 seconds and think about who those people are right now, right? You need to get as far as humanly possible away from those people. And you need to do every single thing that I said on this list before that, right? You need to, you know what I mean? Stop doing the bad habits. You need to save as much money as possible. Either stay single or get you a girlfriend, but don't be out here lusting. You need to get closer to God. You know what I mean? And you just need to stay down and trust yourself, because you guys are unaware of how fast things can actually change for you. You know what I mean? Like, people are unaware of how quickly lives can change. 6 months, bro. Like, that's all it really takes. 6 months of anything can completely turn around your situation. 6 months of staying down and going to the gym can completely change your body. 6 months of eating right, eating healthy can completely change your body. You know what I mean? 6 months of building a business and actually being locked in and putting in those inputs day in, day out, every single day, that can completely change your life. You know what I mean? You only need a couple of sales to, especially if you're doing high ticket, right? To completely change your situation. 6 months of locking in on a content journey, you know what I mean? Which is one of the routes that I'm doing right now. 6 months straight of locking in on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, right? 6 months straight of doing that can completely change your situation. So I think we need to understand as a people that it doesn't take as long as we think, you know what I mean? And really 6 months, but up to a year of solid determination, consistency, and discipline can absolutely turn your entire situation around. You know what I mean? And I just have, a better question to ask you after that, because if you had to sacrifice 6 months to a year, right? If you had to get away from friends, get away from family, get away from that girlfriend that's holding you back and stay single, or just get away from all the girls that you're lusting after and get a girlfriend. You know what I mean? If you had to do all of that, if you had to lock in and learn a high income skill, if you had to lock in for a couple of months and get this certification, and 6 months afterwards, 6 months after posting straight consistently, your entire life is transformed, would you consider that to be a fair trade-off? Because if you ask me, in my humble opinion, I completely believe that that is a fair trade-off, and I completely believe that it's worth it, and the ROI on it it's 100 times over. You know what I mean? Like, 1 year of your life, 6 months of your life to live different for the rest of your life, right? Now, I don't know about you guys. I'm 24 years old, right? If by 25 years old, if by this point next year, I am living a completely different life, I have thousands and thousands of dollars coming in, monthly, or I have thousands and thousands of dollars saved and put away, or you know what I mean, I'm just able to travel. I have the freedom to live and do whatever I want at this time next year, that I would 100% say that trade-off was worth it. You know what I mean? To make that sacrifice and stay down, stay disciplined, stay consistent for 6 months to a year straight, and go through that pain, I would 100% say it's worth it. You know what I mean? If I had to trade 6 months of my time to be disciplined, 12 months of my time to be locked into the gym, and sacrifice junk food and eating bad for 6 to 12 months straight, and on the other side of those 12 months, I have a completely transformed body, then I would 100%, me personally, say that that's a fair trade-off, and I would take that 100 times out of 100. So, you know what I mean? You guys just have to decide whether, staying down for 6 months is, worth it for you. But yeah, with that being said, man, the main idea of this video is just, it is okay to be lame, bro. It is okay to be the lame friend, stay out of, you know what I mean, the mix, and you know what I'm saying? Stop going to these parties, stop drinking, stop smoking, stop doing all these bad habits, and really just put your head down and get to it. It is 100% fine to do that. And, some people may consider you lame, but if you ask me, you know what I mean, you're doing what's smart. So that's all I wanted to come on here and say to you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, man. And yeah, we're about 2 months plus into posting consistently every single day. So yeah, hopefully if you're new to this channel, you can join me on this journey, man. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. And yeah, I'm gonna see you guys in tomorrow's video.